This is what Friday night looked like in Hamburg, Germany. 40 police cars with armed officers were dispatched to pacify the riots, which occurred as a result of a spat between local Chechens and Kurds. Polish people want to avoid similar scenes. That's why at the border with Germany, protests were organized against Berlin's migration policy. This is footage from a recent demonstration in Gubin. We come here to protest in defense of all of Poland, not just this place, and not just this bridge. Because we can see from the example of Western European countries that the multicultural policy has failed. Despite this, the Tusk government agreed to accept the Migration Pact and is turning a blind eye to Germans smuggling migrants into Poland. This procedure in France and Germany was done in the same way. Small numbers of migrants, mostly Muslims, who were polite and well-mannered at first. Then they grew more and more aggressive, relentless in their demands, and the migrant groups grew. The December 13th coalition asserts the tightness of our eastern border, boasting about the barrier, which was actually put up by the Law and Justice government. At the same time, those in power underestimate the threat coming from the West. They are standing at the eastern border, pretending to defend the border, while the western border is as hollow as Swiss cheese. Through the western border, Chancellor Scholz and German police are pushing at least 9,000 illegal migrants into Poland. These are the figures you can see on the German media and on their parliament's website. The situation could be improved by controls on the border with Germany. Until recently, the Polish Interior Ministry ruled out such a possibility. No, for the reason that there is no such need, either technically or in terms of intelligence, or as far as migratory movements are concerned. 2 weeks have passed, and the narrative has changed. Could it be that this is the result of pressure from Polish citizens who are demanding the sealing of the western border? I do not rule out the introduction of such controls. We are waiting until a new German government is formed, and there is a partner to talk to. This is a surprising statement for at least 2 reasons. First, the German government did not ask the Polish government for its opinion before introducing the controls. Second, as the German media revealed, the incoming ruling coalition plans to return illegal migrants to our country without considering Poland's position. It is difficult to talk about partnership in this situation. We must be a sovereign state. We must have our own sense of dignity and not be a state that assumes a subordinate status, a so-called junior partner. We cannot be no junior partner of Germany and do not want to be, and we don't want to pay for their mistakes. The emergence of foreigner integration centers, which in the future may serve culturally alien migrants from Africa and the Middle East, is of concern to local communities. There's a document indicating that this is where they have a place for migrants. It says it will be a point of assistance, consultation, mainly for those from Ukraine. But let's not be children. These immigrants will be received here in Radom. The termination of the Migration Pact, which gives the possibility of relocating migrants from Western countries to Poland, was announced by presidential candidate Karol Nawrocki. I want the president of the Polish state to say Poland first, Polish people first, to represent the interest of the Polish state and not be the deputy butler of German affairs. This will be decided on the 18th of May at the ballot box by Polish citizens. In defense of Marine Le Pen, but above all French democracy, on the streets of Paris, thousands of protesters who do not agree with the left liberal dictate and the closed system of politicians and judges who eliminate candidates with conservative views from public life, exactly as they did with Marine Le Pen. People don't realize how much power we have given these politicians and judges. It's shocking that they took away her opportunity to become president. They wanted to block her at all costs, just to prevent her from coming to power. Pre-election poll leader and leader of the French right, Marine Le Pen, forcibly removed from being able to hold public office, said she would never give up. What is at stake here is the existence of France as a state of law, as a democratic state. We must defend freedom and democracy together. The court's decision is a political judgment. The protests are peaceful, but the mood shows willingness to fight for what's right. Because those who consider themselves defenders of democracy, President Macron and his supporters are blatantly violating that democracy for alleged irregularities in the hiring of assistants in the European Parliament. While she was an MEP, Marine Le Pen was stripped of her chance to govern. Although similar practices have been used by many other politicians, including those on the left, also with close ties to Emmanuel Macron. We have a duty to stand shoulder to shoulder with Marine Le Pen today, because by depriving her of the chance to win, they have hurt democracy, they have hurt patriotism. But we will not allow this to happen. We will defend democracy, we will defend our country.
Mais je ne connais pas l'abandon.
French people, including those who do not support Le Pen, have a sense of injustice, and they are not the only ones. In Romania, first-round winner Călin Georgescu was barred from running in the presidential election on absurd charges of alleged contacts with the Kremlin. We are facing the same threats to democracy. Let's not delude ourselves, because when Karol Nawrocki is in the second round and wins the presidential election in Poland, they will try to do the same thing as in Romania. They don't want Trump's MAGA wave to come to Europe. Romania was a test. France, a real assault on democracy. But there is no doubt that the left liberal setup, controlled from Brussels and Berlin, will try similar actions in other EU countries as well. It is possible that the Romanian and French scenarios are also being considered by Poland's ruling Civic Coalition. Certainly, the Tusk camp will do everything not to give up power, but they are getting weaker and weaker, and this can also be seen. They will threaten, perhaps they will make some attempts to block the victory of the opposition candidate, Karol Nawrocki, if they see that they could lose power. But I am also reassured by the fact that Polish people simply will not allow this to happen. The French are already defending democracy and justice in the streets, as are the Romanians.
Patriots have been winning elections all over the Western world. Patriots have joined governments in Italy, in my country, the Netherlands, in Hungary, in the United States. We have won and we will keep winning. And nobody will stop us.
Our struggle will be peaceful, democratic. We are inspired by Martin Luther King, who defended civil rights. Today in France, these rights are under threat. We are not second-class citizens. The protests in France are a serious warning to Macron and liberals like him, and a reminder that in a democracy, in the end, voters are always the ones who decide. A four-member Romanic family from
Czteroosobowa rodzina Romaników z Radróża została zamordowana przez ukraińskich nacjonalistów 30 czerwca 1944 roku.
Tak była proszona, bo myśmy mieszkali w Szówsku, żeby nie jechała tutaj, nie wracała, ale jednak ktoś się zjawił stąd z Radróża i przekazał taką informację, że wracajcie, nic wam się nie stanie. I zostali wszyscy zamordowani.
Przez kilkadziesiąt lat na grobie ofiar na cmentarzu w Radróżu stał tylko metalowy krzyż. Dziś odsłonięto i poświęcono nowy nagrobek, ufundowany przez
Here for years tombstones were made from a type of stone from Bruśnie, and we also made such a tombstone in the cemetery by the Orthodox Church in Radróż, thus also commemorating in a dignified manner the Polish people who were murdered here by Ukrainian
Lista
nationalists.
wymienionych na pomniku ofiar OUN-UPA w podkarpackim Radróżu liczy 25 osób, ale dokładne badania historyków IPN-u wciąż trwają. Łącznie w latach 1944-46 w rzezi wołyńskiej, która objęła również tereny Podkarpacia i Lubelszczyzny, zginęło ponad 100 000 Polaków. Arkadiusz Rogowski, Republika.
Pope Francis showed up in St. Peter's Square for the first time since the beginning of his long hospital stay. He entered St. Peter's Square in a wheelchair at the end of a mass for the sick and healthcare workers. The Vatican had not announced the Pope's presence, so his appearance came as a complete surprise to thousands of faithful. I wish you a happy Sunday. Thank you all. The 88-year-old Pope has not appeared in public since the 23rd of March, when he briefly appeared on the balcony of Rome's Gemelli Clinic before returning to the Vatican.
I love Pope, and I am very glad to be there. So everything was very, very special for me.
It was a beautiful experience. I started crying. I never imagined I would be able to be here, and it was, I don't know how to explain it. It was just a feeling that I have no words for. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I hope he's not suffering, that he's at peace, that he's in God's care the whole time. The Holy Father was in treatment for more than 5 weeks. It was Pope Francis's most serious health crisis during his 12-year pontificate. Pope Francis, who had been struggling with bilateral pneumonia, suffered 4 acute attacks of what doctors described as life-threatening respiratory crises during his hospital stay. Due to his age, doctors say it will be a long time before he returns to full strength. They are therefore recommending 2 months of rest and advising against any meetings with large groups or tasks that require special effort.